right. Welcome back to Fantastic Fridays. Just kidding. This isn't Fantastic Fridays at all. This is a Monday or Tuesday, but I just wanted to do a little podcast, if you will. I don't even know what these are called. I'm sure there's a definition now of podcasting, which I am not aware of, but that's perfectly okay with me. So I want to take about 15 minutes of your life and give you some things to think about. One of the things that have been popping up in my head for the last, years, obviously, but significantly in the last couple months, and then narrowing down to even a few days. And then I had some really good conversations with some people, really good friends of mine who kind of agree with the same things that are happening. And so I wanted to bring that to some light. One of them, I would say the main topic today is going to be noise. Listening to noise. So if you had to title this, it'd be like just canceling the noise. Too much going on out there. You know, people wonder why they have so many mental health issues. Oh, and at church, our pastor was talking about mental health and all this, therapy and crap, and how people suffer and all these things. I'm like, the first thing that came to my mind was, you're inundated with social media, internet. I mean, everyone can't stop looking at their phones for 30 seconds. You wonder why your brain is overstimulated. It's overloaded. You weren't never supposed to be able to be on your phone for, all day, every day and just look at it. You're supposed to look at life. You're supposed to actually process and think and be bored and come up with some creative solutions in your head, not Googling everything. See, God is still the same today, yesterday, and forever, and He wants to speak with people. The problem is why people can't hear God is because they're not listening to God. They're listening to everything but God. They're listening to the internet, TV, cable, Netflix, Amazon Prime, books, their therapist, their clinician, psychologist, their doctors, and their parents, and everyone else in the world you could think of. And there's a major issue with these things if you're not looking for God's will first, or primarily, I should say. So I'm gonna go over a few things today. One of them is from Genesis chapter 3. And in Genesis chapter 3 says this: "Now the serpent was more cunning than any animal of the field which the Lord God had made. He had said to the woman," had God really said, "You shall not eat from the tree of the garden?" Putting in doubts, okay? You're gonna have doubts. That's life. And the devil sows those doubts. Do not forget that you have three enemies: the world, the devil, and your own flesh, okay? These three things are coming against you: the culture, okay? The deep, dark, spiritual things that you don't understand, and your own rationale, okay? Your own quote unquote logic or self-preservation of your own nature, okay? That's not working for you. It's called the flesh. It's called the thing that is innately normal. That's not normal. That's the fallen man. We are supposed to be spiritual beings. And so, doing the right thing that God has. So, he says, he sows a doubt, a seed of doubt. Has God really said, "You shall not eat from the tree of the garden"? God's word has always been a tactic that the devil has used and will always use, and the world will use to confuse you. Did God really say that? Did God really say put that on paper? Did God really say to take that job? Did God really say to do this and that? And that is the struggle that most people have, is the doubt stays and they don't know how to get out of it because they don't know they have an enemy. So he says, the woman said to the serpent, "From the fruit of the trees of the garden we may eat, but from the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat from it or touch it," which is an addition to, he never said anything about touching it. That's an addition to. That's a legalistic point of view. That is God's will so hard for your life. How can you ever do that, right? There's more like a burden, but God's burden is easy and his yoke is light. So the devil will always make it seem harder and more stressful and more difficult than it really is. And like you're missing out on so much. And then he says, you shall not eat from it or touch it, or you will die. The serpent said to the woman, you certainly will not die, for God knows that on the day you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will become like God, knowing good and evil. So basically the whole goal of the devil was to get these human beings to outsmart God, to become God, to think that we are in such a way better or equal to God. And that's called idolatry. That's called your ego. That's called your flesh. That's called your human nature. That's called self-preservation. You think somehow that you are on top of the world and that you are going to make it all work. And that's a lie. Okay, that's not true. But good luck trying. Hopefully, well, I shouldn't say hopefully that works out for you, because I don't want it to work out for you. Neither does God. All right, so go to 2 Peter. And I really don't want these podcasts to necessarily be like Bible studies per se, because there's so much wisdom in life that we need. But the wisdom is in the Word, so I'm never going to get away from the filter that I filter my life in. This is just profound how the Word of God speaks to all of this stuff. Okay? The world is constantly bombarding you with noise. How do you cancel it out? I'm going to tell you right now, this is how you cancel it out. 1, you read the Bible, but 2, you don't believe everything the world tells you to believe. Get off the cell phone, get off the devices, hang out with friends, go back to old school relationships, like make a phone call, not a video call. I mean, all these things, like just talk with people, right? Be human. It's okay, I promise. You will survive. Okay, 2 Peter, verse 2-3 says this. Sorry, 2 Peter. 2 verse 3, he says this, but false prophets also appeared among the people, just as there will also be false teachers among you, who will secretly introduce destructive heresies, basically destructive teachings, okay? Theologies of sorts, ideologies. I mean, go to universities and colleges, most of the ideology is completely whack, dude. It's completely stupid. Not just in business. It's funny because, true story. One of our friends who I network with, he's an entrepreneur. His name's Ryan. Hey, Ryan, if you ever watch this, I went to one of his networking things down here, and I loved it. Super intelligent guy, and he's young too, but really cool, brilliant dude. And he does like financial services, but he's putting together like a little community of networking people in where we live, because we still need it. We still need that human connection. And the human connection is real. You can't just be on your phone all day. That will never work. You may get the job, you may get the bid, you may get the, the account, but you're going to just be an empty vessel. You need to correlate with human beings. You need to problem solve human beings' issues, not just the issue. You'll always be empty. That's for another topic. But anyhow, this guy Ryan put together this, I think it's called like One Networking or something. I have to go back and look. But what's really cool about it was it's human beings interacting. And they're not a Christian group, I don't think, and no one is, chasing God like I am. But well, they may be. But it is a really cool perspective on how he's bringing people kind of that old school. And what's funny is I spoke with another guy back in my old town in Big Bear Lake, California. And this guy name is Pasindu, he's Eastern Indian. And we just talked because we called and we kept in touch for all our contacts. He owns a rental management company, and he's a great human being. And we used to always talk about humans are humans. It's not just for business, because he used to give me a ton of work. And I used to really appreciate all his work that he would give me. But he's a good human being, and we would connect, and he knows my son. In fact, he just called to check on my son's health for what my son's been going through and stuff, and the football scenario and all that stuff, if you've been paying attention to that at all. But anyhow, Pasindu is a really good human being in Big Bear Lake, California. Great dude, friend, and hopefully a lifetime friend. not just in business. You know, I want to invite them to, you know, my son's draft party, you know, or, you know, if I ever have some big networking thing, you know, like these guys, Ryan, you know, you could still become a real human being in business, right? But they don't teach you that stuff at the local university. They just teach you, you know, silly stuff. And so the next one is this, that false prophets appeared among the people, just as there will also be false teachers among you who will secretly introduce destructive heresies. They tear you down, by the way, even denying the master who brought them, bringing swift destruction upon themselves. Many will follow their indecent behavior, and because of them, the way of the truth will be maligned. And their greed, they will exploit you with false words. Their judgment from long ago is not idle, and their destruction is not asleep. So they're making market of you. That word exploit means market of you. And in their greed, they will exploit you. They will market you. And they will use false words. And this is like our modern day social media. You know, I think about AI, and everyone's all, AI is gonna take over. AI is not going to take over. I am sorry to say this, people. I have no idea what that even means, because it's just a silly thing. Do we use AI? I use AI. Maybe I'm not talking to you right now. Just kidding. But it's a wonderful thing. I just use it for my designs. I use it for some of my shirts. I use it for different things that we do. But I do not absolutely think it's going to take over the world. At that point, yeah, go to heaven, be gone. We're going to die anyways. It's so silly. There's no fear that you should have in that. But the thing is social media and all stuff can be so confusing to filter out what's truth. People are going to absolutely make market of you. They're absolutely, you know, one time someone said this, nothing is for free. And if it is for free, someone's paying. And if you don't know who's paying, maybe you're paying. Which means this, why is Instagram, Facebook, all those things, why are they free? Are they free? And if they're not free, who's paying? Maybe you're paying. Maybe you're paying with your time, you're paying with your attention, you're paying with some of your goodwill intention. The problem is what do you get back, right? If you're not using it for work, for, you know, driving your customers, whatever, you're losing, because it's costing you energy that you don't have. I think of all these teenagers giving them their lives away on this Instagram. No one cares. And it's going to be difficult for you to get all that energy back, because you're the consumer. You are paying for it with your time and your energy. They get all your data, but they also get, you know, they can control a little bit the way you think, because now the algorithm sent, you know, I don't blame them. I blame us. You know, it's funny because like Ubering from time to time, people say, oh yeah, Uber is going to go out of business because of the cars that have the Waymo. I'm like, good, it should put me out of business. I don't want to Uber again, ever. Not only do I want to not Uber, well actually it's kind of fun. I love Ubering, to be totally honest with you. Ubering's amazing. But that's a whole new chapter in my book. And it literally is a chapter in my book. But the Uber process is you. I'm gonna say this as kind as I can. My friend Craig, hey Craig, I did a lot of shout outs today. My friend Craig in Payson, he said this. He said, if you can basically be replaced by like an automation machine or AI or a computer, maybe you kind of didn't do enough skills in your life, or build enough reputation, or build enough, you know, relationships to continue in that field, and you need to be replaced. Like, he was being real nice about it. I'm not so nice. You guys know my personality by now if you've been following me, but I'm not that nice. I'm like, yeah, if you deserve to get replaced. If you can't think, and if you can't make it work for yourself and shift, and if you're in a spot where, you know, people say, oh, I want more wages, you know, minimum wage should be higher. You shouldn't be a minimum wage. That should not be your goal. You should not spend energy trying to figure out how to make minimum wage work for you. You should always be increasing. So forget about minimum wage. Think higher wage, or long-term, or legacy. And then you'll make money there. You won't make money if you try to fight minimum wage. Like, don't stay at the bottom, right, for very long. It's, you know, it's okay if a bird lands on your head, you know, maybe even boops on your head, but don't let it build a nest there. That's just crazy, right? So we go through seasons, but we're here to learn. We're here to grow. So we know from the Bible that people will literally make market of us. And that's what social media and all the brainwashing of schools and stuff, they do. Don't let life make market of you. Be better than that. Which means do not give yourself into these Facebook, social media, TikToks, Instagram world. You can use it. You can use it for good. You can, have some fun on there, whatever. But people that live in that, you will never be able to express who you are because you're being brainwashed by the culture. It's just called noise. It is truly called noise, and you have to hear what God is saying about you, not what the world is saying about you. And then my last one is John 8:44, which I love. John 8:44 says this, my good friends. You are of your father, the devil, and he's talking about the Pharisees, the righteous people, the people who are all like about, self-righteousness. And he says, you are the father devil, and you want to do the desire of your father. He who is a murderer from the beginning and does not stand with the truth because there is no truth in him. There's no truth in him, okay? Whenever he tells a lie, he speaks from his own nature. His native tongue is lie. Imagine that. Because he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I say the truth, you do not believe me. The more lies you listen to, the harder it is for you to filter the truth. That's why going to church once a week is the worst idea possible. How is that going to work? And yet every church that I've ever been to has this one church thing going, yeah, let's do church once a week. And then they build the life groups. Why are the life groups like the most important thing? Not because of the church, but simply because of the life group. More happens in the life group than actually a church. So it's just a building, okay? It's just an organization. Good word, good teaching. I love my church, whatever. But the life group, the people, the community, the fellowship is what God really intended for the body of Christ. And you hear the word and, these godly people there. But that's where life's happening. And it's happening over the phone calls more than once a week. Okay? You're getting truth spoken into your life more than just the one day a week. So the problem is the way we structure this whole thing. One day a week doesn't do anything. I used to always tell my athletes that we used to work with and my son and, all the people I train, we even do our class. So we do a school a course and it's twice a week. And the reason why is that one day a week, you can't learn, you don't know anything. Just get that through your head. If you're doing something right now in life, frisbee golf, or you're gonna go hang out with your kid, once a week, it's not enough. Once a week is specifically like what God had shown me years and years and years ago. You're never gonna get good at it. I remember golfing once or twice and I realized, wait a minute, I don't golf, it takes a long time. And I remember specifically saying, I could probably at max do this once a week with my schedule. And at that point I said, I'll never get good, never gonna do it. So I never golfed again. And that was a great decision. Not that it's disrespecting golfers. If you want to golf and you got the time and you love it, go for it, do it. Do it twice a week. Do everything twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week. Anything that's under 1 time a week, you won't get it. You're not in the game long enough. You don't have enough understanding of that. That's just a little side note. But going back to the truth, the devil speaks his native tongue. That is his language. That is what he does. He's fluent and articulate and poetic at it. And so when you hear crazy thoughts, when you hear lies, when you see TikTok and all of those things and they're coming at you so strong and so powerful, that is a natural way. He's been doing this from the beginning of time. Technology isn't new. It is absolutely not new. It may be new to you and it may be new to your understanding, but the way it still works, there's always been some field of lust or some field of, a human being that looks to something else greater than them and goes, I want to be that. Okay, it's called lust, envy, covetousness. There's a great movie with Ben Stiller called Envy. It's hilarious. It's about his neighbor always winning and him never winning. And it's called envy. And that's all Facebook is. That's all social media is man, you know, these guys have so many clients and these guys have so many, you know, success stories and this person's doing so well and their son and their daughter are the best and they're all good looking and they're taking pictures all of their best. When have you seen someone post Facebook saying, my life is horrible, I have no idea what I'm doing? Very rarely. And what's funny is when you do see those, millions of people will be like, oh, I love you, I'm so sorry. Why? The reason why is because all those people can understand what's going on. Don't do that, you know, we love you, we'll come visit. All these people come out of the woodwork because everyone knows what life is, suffering, difficulty, challenge. But when you post, I'm the best of the best, no one cares because not everyone is the best of the best. And not everyone is going to get there. They may try and whatever, but their human reality is unfortunately average. Now we want to be above average, but how do you get above average? By not listening to dumb things. Not listening to the devil for sure. All that noise that you feed in your brain, is it a lie? Ask yourself these questions. Is this benefiting my path or is it negating who I am as a person, right? And what I mean by that, if it's negating you as a person, it's like, let me just give you some examples. Let's say you're a surfer, okay? And I was surfed a little bit. I'm not a surfer, but whatever. But I wanted to be a surfer. And I say, okay, I'm gonna go try to surf twice a week because that's what I should do. And I'm gonna go do surf twice a week. But you know what? Like, I'm looking at surfing and all the TikToks, and everyone's just so much better than me. Stop looking at those posts because they are better than you because you just started learning. Think correctly. You don't need to see everyone, and not to mention, they're also putting their highlights out, right? No surfers put in their fails. I mean, they may do it for art and stuff like that, and some people, you know, to show the dedication, but the reality of it, you're seeing the highlights. You're even seeing the failure to those highlights. You're not seeing the failure to the failure, the trick they never got. You're not seeing that. You're not seeing the years they put in. You're not seeing the hardships of life. You're not seeing any of that. You're not seeing, you know, the story, you know, of the divorces and the mom and dad and the arguments. I'll finish with this story. Speaking of truth, and be careful what you listen to. I was a snowboarder, but I did live at the beach, so it was a weird thing because Southern California is kind of weird like that. Everything is skateboarding, snowboarding, surfing, motocross, all these individual sports, and they're all really kind of intertwined in some weird way, like the higher you get, but it's also like very small industry, you know, but everyone does it, right, to some degree. And so I worked at a shop called Surf Ride, and I had met Shaun White, and Shaun White was snowboarding a lot, like Mammoth and Big Bear, and so I'd kind of become an acquaintance of him, really cool, and he had told me about come over and I'll check out some of the stuff that he was selling because he had lived in Del Mar at the time. And so, and everyone knows Shaun White, I hope so. He's a world-class snowboarder, most Olympic golds, I think. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is Shaun White, you know, my hero. And at the time I was like 23, he's like 16 or something crazy. And his brother is also a pro, and his sister, their whole family snowboarded. Half pipe in the backyard, the full gamut, good people. So I went over there one day, we were hanging out, him and talking to him and his brother. I was thinking about getting some snowboard gear. My friend Jeff was with me. Hey Jeff, he's never gonna listen to this. Jeff Cervantes. He was listening and to their conversation, and I got some stuff. Anyhow, I had to come back another time to get some more stuff. So long story short, he tells me to come back randomly. So I come back like, it's gotta be like a week later, 2 weeks later. And the garage is open, and the door, the garage door is open, and Shaun scares all his crap in the garage. And we're talking like, you know, hundreds of snowboards, you know, from Volcom, sure. I mean, he had his like a store in there. He used to sell a lot of his stuff. And, but the door was open to the garage, but they closed the door at the entry of the house. So I'm kind of in there looking at stuff, and I text him saying, hey dude, like, you know, I'm here. And I'm like, and then I hear like yelling. So I'm like, frick, dude, like, I want this stuff. I really did. It's like, you know, a couple snowboards, couple stuff for cheap though, like dirt on the dollar, man. Like, you know, brand new Oakley goggles for like 20 bucks. So, because his brother was also a pro. People don't know that about Shaun. So his brother was pro. I think his name was like, I want to say it was like, what's his name? Joey or something. But he was a full-on professional snowboarder. He was older, but nobody really gave him that clout because he wasn't Shaun White. So could have been like Brandon White. Anyhow, he also had pro stuff. So they, like I said, they would sell their crap because you can only wear one pair of goggles and you got 100. So they're yelling. The family's going nuts, man. I mean, the sister's crying, the mom's yelling at the dad's yelling at the sister. I mean, it's just crazy, like true craziness. But it just showed me they're just human beings. They're just human beings. And all the lies of, oh, he's like godlike, right? He's a snowboarder, no problem, because his family was really close. But they were literally arguing about like, you know, Sean, you know, our whole family paid the price for you to get here and all this kind of, the sister was going off on how like, you know, it's all, I was listening, by the way, I'm bad, but I was there for like 10 minutes just listening. Oh, I love it. I want to learn about life. And I was like, hey, what are they talking about? And they were talking about how Sean has like gone so far, and yet it was all about the sacrifice of their parents and the sacrifice of their family and like, and whatever. He wasn't talking, Sean wasn't talking. It was mostly the sister and the mom and dad. But they were crying and yelling, you know, and I think it was healthy. God bless him. God bless him. He's super healthy. And, but that's life. And the world's never going to show you that. Gary would never post any of that. No, it's Rise and Bear. No one's going to do that. No one, you know, and all the troubles and the struggles that you go through as human beings. We're not posting these things, right? Let's get real. You get those in the backstories. You get those in human connection. You get that in the truth when it's quiet. When people make the phone call and you talk about their marriage and their life and their kids on phone calls. And yeah, everyone posts their stuff. I get all that. But today's podcast, if you get anything from today, just get that most of what you're hearing out there is noise. And this generation is going to have to do its best. I feel like you guys are in the fight of your life to actually hear what truth is. Because you're going to hear from every guy out there, every moron, every guy, you know, fast talker, you know, I know people accuse me of like, oh, being insincere before. I'm like, that's kind of laughable, especially if you know me. I've been accused of, you know, being a fraud. I'm like, a fraud for what? What are you talking about? I'm not a fraud. I don't even know what fraud is. And for those who know me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The whole podcast is called Motives Matter and Will Be Authentic. I will say basically what 100 people, you know, that I know aren't going to say, and I'm also going to say the truth, but I'm also going to say it with my passion and who I am as a person. I'm very confident who God made me be, so why am I going to be a fraud or lie? This is all I got, right? It's not much, but I'll take it. And that's what I train people on, is how to be you, how to be the best you that you could possibly be, because I've realized over 47 years, oh, it works. It actually works. Okay. And I was told to be fake it till you make it, be a fraud my entire life. I was told, do this, do that, be something you're not, you know, go to school, take those classes, and you'll be somebody. That's all a bunch of crap. Don't believe it. Anyhow, I will close with this, guys. Trust God, find your identity in Him, learn to listen to God, read more truth, right? Study good friends, good business ethics. Learn how to source and filter more than ever before, because there's so much AI out there. There's so much guys that could just pop a YouTube video. There's so many people that are podcasting, right? There's so many people that are doing these things. Who are you going to listen to? You know, like I said, I have my choice of podcasters, you know. I've narrowed them down. It used to be, you know, 20. You know, now it's probably about 7 that I listen to all the time, maybe even 6. But I love them and I trust them because I've read their books now, and I kind of feel like I kind of know a lot about where they're going. But, you know, there'll be a guy there's some silly ones here in, you know, Scotts, Arizona. There's guys that they're just trying to make money off the backs of you. They know that you'll consume, right? They know they can fool you. They'll speak the native tongue of the devil, the lies, and they got you because you're, oh yeah, I'll do this. You gotta learn how to filter, all right? So thank you guys and have a fantastic day.